Hello, Mark. Jim Keithley here with a review video, your first lesson. First of all, I want to reach out to you and say thank you for getting with us. We're always excited when non-members come and try to get better at golf. So thank you for that. I enjoyed our first hour that we spent together. Some of the conversations that we had during that hour were that, hey, you're a 7 handicap. You do far more things well than you do poorly. Your thoughts to me were, why don't I hit the ball farther? I'm tall, I'm athletic, I'm a 7 handicapper, but I just don't hit my irons and woods as far as others. So there's obviously some power leakages that are happening, and this video will kind of explain some of those things. We started out by talking about alignment. We could see that there is where we were aiming. I'll actually undo that. Let's just do that. There's our alignment rod where we were aiming, and we could see that our feet, hips, shoulders, forearms are all going well to the right. So many mistakes are made in golf because of that. I would much rather see you aim a little bit too far left as opposed to just a tiny bit right. When we're too far right, our front hip, front foot, front shoulder are all in our way, so we have to make some compensating move, which is usually steepening the shaft in order to get a good result. Unless you play big sweeping hooks, which that we've already talked about. You do not. You don't play push hooks. You play pull fades. So better alignment is where it starts. That can fix a lot of issues right away. Let's talk about some power leakage. We're going to talk more about your trail arm, your right arm structure. As we move the club away, as we get our lead arm parallel to the ground, your right arm does a lot of flexion. It bends really early. Let me take it back. Even by the time that the club's parallel to the ground, if we pay attention to your trail arm, it's already quite a bit bent. When we bend our right arm, our hand path gets really narrow. So notice where your hand path is relative to, say, your sternum. I would love it if your hand path was much further away from you, like that second circle, okay? So it's all about creating some width. Most high handicappers, or most people that don't hit it very far, they don't create width on either side of their body. So I would love to feel like you're pushing away, getting your hand path further away from you at this point. Something I do want to point out is I love the gapping between your legs, okay? As we get older, that lead knee flex becomes important. It gives us a real good pivot. So I love your leg action at this point. So let's just go ahead and get to the top. If we look at the guy over on the right-hand side at this point, that's beautiful. Wrist conditions are wonderful. You've got a real nice deep trail hip, which leads to a good pivot, okay? We talked a lot about this point, really stomping into that lead foot, okay? So as we continue on, here are some real inefficiencies. Let's look at some checkpoint. So by the time that your hands, and now we're going to look at the guy on the left, by the time your hands get to your trail thigh, so there we are. Here's your hands, and notice where that shaft is at this point. That shaft should be more at this position. What's that called? It's called lag, okay? I think people overdo lag, but we certainly have to get some wrist conditions that are going to create that condition, okay? It's all about storing up energy, potential energy, and then exerting it at the right time. If I clear that, now we go look at the guy over on the on the right hand side, we talked a lot about this position. I want that club head not so much where right over your hand path. I'd love to see it a little bit further behind you and higher. Okay, if we can do that, now we're turning the corner. I gave you the analogy of when you're skiing, or if you're on a tube behind a boat, when do you feel like you're going the fastest? It's when you're turning the corner. The boat's not going any faster. The boat might even be slowing down, but that ski or that tube is moving at a much quicker rate because of forces and gravity and centrifugal force. As we transition a little bit further, here's our impact position. We can clearly see that the shaft is very much straight up and down, or maybe a little leaning backwards. My thought to you was, why does Dustin Johnson hit a 7-iron that goes 220 yards? Because his 7-iron is not a 7-iron, it's a 5-iron, effectively. Okay, so as we can go through the second time, another checkpoint for you would be, as soon as my hands get over now my lead thigh, where should that club shaft be? That's where that club shaft should be, right there. So this gapping here, we need to get rid of all that. We don't want that. As we progress, now we're going to start looking at your arm structure. So we looked at your right arm over here that does a little bit of excessive bending, which causes our hand path to get too close to us. Well, now as we get into impact, now at this point, notice your lead arm starts to break down. We lose that structure, that connectivity, which causes our hands to stay really close to us. All this space in between your elbows are no good. We want to get our elbows much closer together. If we get our elbows closer together, it should cause and help our hand path to get further away from us. Okay, so we lose all that width on both sides of the body, causes inefficiencies. I'm going to send you a drill via YouTube that's going to talk about this a little bit more. So that was just a quick 8-minute video. Great job. I enjoyed it. If you have any questions about this or anything else, don't hesitate to reach out. Nothing about this process is going to be easy, but we can certainly help you through it. Thanks, Mark.